All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back. I'm Mr. Cardone, aka the King of Calculating. I'm just kidding. But here we go. 2.2, today's target learning goal is to be able to solve for variables with multiple variables in the equation. They come up in formulas, and we're also going to learn to translate equations in the second part. Okay, so what you see here is an equation, and it says P equals 2L plus 2W. And we've got multiple variables, and it's asking us to solve specifically for the variable W. Well, it looks a little overwhelming, but I don't think it's really that bad. Once you practice a few of them, I mean, the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. You're really gonna do exactly what you did in the last lesson as far as undoing everything that's being done to the variable. You're just solving equations. It's just, I know we can get intimidated by all these variables. So sometimes it says to solve for W, right? So sometimes some people do this. It helps to circle the variable that you want to solve for, right? And we can look and we can analyze and see what is being done to that variable. Well, here it looks like it's being multiplied by 2, right? And we're adding 2L to it. So we've got to get rid of all of that stuff here. When we're solving equations, we have an order of doing things. And remember, I suggested that you inverse add subtract first before you inverse multiply divide. So how would we get rid of that plus 2L? We're going to subtract 2L. We're going to subtract 2L from each side. So minus 2L and minus 2L. And then I'm left with P minus 2L equals 2W, okay? I can keep that W circled if you like, if it helps you realize that's what you want to get rid of. All right, now, lastly, W is being multiplied by 2. How do I undo that? I divide. The inverse of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. Divide by 2. So now, the W's isolated, it's all alone, what we like. And I'm just going to go ahead and switch the sides. I like to say W equals, instead of equals W, it really doesn't matter. But I'm just going to say W equals P minus 2L over 2. You like it? Let's try another one. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you some time to try this one on your own, but let's say y equals 1/2 times x plus 3, and we're going to solve for x. All right, I'm going to push pause now and give you a chance to try that on your own. What do you think? Did you like it? All right, let's give it a shot. We need to get x by itself. We need to get x by itself. I think I like the idea of distributing first. Again, it's not the only way to do it. Like, there's so many different ways you can do it and get it right. Just don't break any rules and you'll be fine. But I like distributing first. So I'm going to say y equals 1/2 x plus, and if I multiply 1/2 to 3, 1 times 3 gives me 3/2, okay? Again, if you like circling the variable that you're solving for, feel free. I'm gonna circle that x. Now you know, and I know, we don't necessarily love dealing with all these fractions, you know, when it comes to solving equations, and we can get rid of it. What's the lowest common denominator, or the smallest number that all of the denominators will evenly go into? It's 2, right? So if I multiply the left side by 2, I would have 2y, right? I'm going to multiply the right side by 2. I want to point out that I didn't put parentheses on the left side when I multiplied by 2 because there's just that one letter there. But since there's 2 different terms on the right side, I am going to put it parentheses around it. So let's see, on the left I have 2y. And on the right side, 2 times 1 divided by 2 is just going to be 1, or this 2 is going to cancel this 2, and I just have x. And on the right side, or this one here, 2 times 3 is 6 over 2, which is going to be 3, or they just cancel and you're just left with plus 3. Now we're almost there. We just need to get that x by itself. Just one more step to do. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and 2y minus 3 equals x, or if you, I don't know, I just like to say x equals 2y minus 3. All right, what do you think? I would like to take it to a maximum spice level here. I'm going to go ahead, a maximum spice level for this topic is 7. I'm going to erase all this and we're going to try this. I'm going to steal the book. So here I have A equals 2HW plus 2LW plus 2LH, and we're going to solve for L. Okay, so this one's a tough problem. It requires some tricky maneuvering. So I want to point out that the variable L that we want to solve for exists in 2 different terms. There's one here and there's one here. So whenever that's the case, you're going to have to factor that L out. You remember greatest common factor? Well, that's going to come up. When we get to that step, I'll point out, I'll talk about it. We'll spend some extra time on that step. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 2HW. So minus 2HW minus 2HW. See, I want to get everything away from these L's, right? That means I have to move this 2HW to the other side. And since it was being added, I subtracted it from both sides. Okay, so now I have A minus 2HW, that canceled, equals 2LW plus 2LH. So now, remember that L that we want to get by itself exists in 2 of these terms. And the only way you can get it by itself is if you factor it out of these 2 terms. You remember greatest common factor? It's like the opposite of distributing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull an L out. I've got an L on the outside. And then I'm left, if I pull an L from here, I'm left with a 2W plus 2H. And then on the left side, nothing changed. So A minus 2HW. And here I have L times all of this, and I want L by itself. And if the opposite, or to undo multiplying by all of that, all I have to do is divide by all of that. I'm going to divide by 2W plus 2H. But you know, if I divide the right side by 2W plus 2H, I have to divide the left side by 2W plus 2H. So this is going to cancel, and L will equal, on the top I have A minus 2HW, and on the bottom I have 2W plus 2H. I know this one can be a bit overwhelming, but don't be scared. With some practice, you can get this problem, I promise you. And this is as hard as they come, but we're gonna get good at it. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next lesson.